So I was recently asked in a podcast interview, why does silence mean so much for me? And really, for a moment, it threw me for a loop because one, I don't think I've ever been asked that question. Why does silence mean so much to me? And it was really in relation to practicing silence and in the art, in science behind practicing silence. And when I really took a moment to honor the interviewer's question and really feel into that, it's a deeply profound question. It could be very surface level, right? Why does that mean so much to you? Well, it's silence, right? It gets me away from the noise. It gives me an opportunity to just sit with myself and break away from the chaos. But honestly, having someone reflect that question back to me, and he really meant it. He was scientifically and spiritually curious. And I got to sit with that question and reflect it back and say, there really and truly is physiological impacts of practicing silence, not only not speaking, but not surrounding yourself with sound, not allowing your time to be filled with noise, with being highly active. So there is a physiological impact. There is an emotional impact. There's a mental impact. So when you really think about it scientifically, there's a purpose to silence. And spiritually, there is an impact to silence. So here we are in this world that thrives on chaos. And the truth is, there is a power to stillness in a world that thrives on chaos. So I want to take a single question that was asked to me in a podcast and really dive it in.
Let's play. I would be silent, but it would really it would really ruin the purpose of a podcast. Yeah. But I'm, it's funny, just kind of reflecting about silence. And there are so many things throughout the day where when I sit back and I think about it, I'm like, man, how is it even possible? Because there's just so many distractions and there's cars and near in planes and people and television and podcasts and YouTube and meetings and phone calls and relationships and friendships and all these different things. It's like there's just always sound, and so it's hard to even think about the time when we don't hear sound. It seems like that's in some way almost a privilege. And so it's we get that when we're maybe out in nature and things maybe aren't as chaotic. And so maybe we might hear a bird or an animal or the wind or things like that, but it's definitely not at a rapid fire cadence like we typically hear in our day to day. And so I do sometimes enjoy some of the clutter or the chaos of the noise, right? But I definitely feel my most connected when I have a meditation, for example, and I have my earplugs in, not pods, no music going on, just like literally have the earplugs in. So I get sound deprivation. I can't really hear anything. That's definitely when I have the best meditation experience. And I've even done that when I've used it during really focused work time. Instead of putting on headphones, I'll put in the earplugs. And it's like, man, I can just zone in, and it's incredible.
Now, I remember at one point you told me about a car manufacturer who created a car that was so sound dampening that they had to do it again because the people in it were actually getting sick.
Yeah, Rolls Royce made the interior of their cars so good at sound dampening that the people who were test driving started getting sick. And so, like, well, we can't have our customers do this because no one's going to want to be in the car. So they actually had to pull back on the sound dampening technology to allow a little bit of sound in just to create some level of what feels like normality. But it's so sound dampening that when you close the door, I mean, even in New York City, for example, or London, you close the door, it's like, boom, all that sound is gone.
That to me just will like, because it also lets you know that you can go to too far of an extreme,
Sure.
right? It's like jumping into freezing cold water and your body goes into shock. But there is a happy medium there that is exactly where I want to talk about. Because we get so ingrained with all of the noise that we get desensitized. And I think this kind of goes back to our other podcasts where we talked about needing to detox from technology. We get so inundated with technology that we don't realize it almost becomes an addiction. So when we go somewhere where we don't have access to the technology, we have to literally physically detox from it because we have phantom vibrations and all of these things. So we actually have detox symptoms from technology. The same I found happens to me with sound. Now, I might not want to be in a Rolls Royce where I start to feel physically ill from not having sound, or there's too much stillness and it starts to have negative physiological impacts. So we can go too far. And that's why I bring it up. An extreme of anything is too much. And we have to know what the extremes are. So let's just always be aware of that, right? But an extreme, a constant sound and never giving ourselves a break, never being in the stillness, never allowing ourselves the chance to just be in a place where sound is not over amplifying and overstimulating every part of us is equally as bad. And so many of us have gotten to that. Now we'd love to hear from people who are crazy enough listening to this. Again, it goes back to, we know you're probably taking this or listening to this podcast, either listening or watching on a device. And we know you're actually taking it in by listening. So it's sound. But we also, how often do you take time to just remove yourself in stillness?